Hi, welcome to our session. My name's Amy Hatchman. I am HR Workforce Systems and Information Manager. This welcome slide just goes through a little bit of housekeeping, so just please keep your microphone on mute to minimise background noise. If you wish to have your camera on, that'd be great, but don't feel any pressure. Like I've just said to some people who are already in here, rather than use the hands up and the chat as such, we do want to utilise something called Slido, which I'll come back to in a second. I'm in the office, so unfortunately I don't have the option of switching off VPN, but sometimes this is helpful in Teams if you're working remotely, so you might want to do that if there's any connection problems. Hopefully it will hold up. I just want to add, I'm not the only one presenting today. We have colleagues from the Microsystems team who I will ask to introduce themselves before they start their sections of this presentation. Okay, I'll get going then. Sorry, I'm just dealing with 3 screens at the same time. So this session is titled Getting Employees Day One Ready, i.e. making sure that on day one of employment, a new member of staff has everything they need to start doing their job effectively. So the aim of this session is to give you a little bit of an overview of the team and our aims, and also showcase/launch something we've been working on, which we're really, really excited about. Finally, we'll be asking for feedback and input into what you want us to focus on next. Is that okay? Carry on. As I've already mentioned, we'll be using a tool called Slido. This will allow us to gain some valuable feedback throughout the session. You can access Slido by going to slido.com, or you can download the app on your phone if you want to, and then you just need to enter the code that's on the screen at the moment. This allows you to give feedback anonymously, and we can do some polls and things around specific items that we're talking about. So please have a go and get on the website for Slido. And if you've got any problems, can you pop a note in the chat and one of the Microsystems team will be able to help you with that. Okay. So I can just see there is a chat. Something in the chat already. Oh, I've not moved on yet. Sorry. So I will do in a sec. Are the slides moving on now? Fab. So who is involved in the microsystem and what is our aim? So Day One Ready is a collaborative microsystem consisting of teams from HR, training and IMST. We meet on a weekly basis, even throughout COVID, which we were quite proud of yesterday when we realised that. And we're supported by the lovely Jo Evans to use a microsystems methodology to tackle the issue of ensuring that staff have everything they need on day one of employment. You may also know this as the onboarding process, but we thought that Day One Ready sounds a bit more snappy. We should probably give some credit to colleagues at Sheffield Children's because they did come up with that name firstly, and Georgina and I probably stole that from them. Overall, our aim is to improve the process for ensuring new staff members are ready and fully equipped to do their job from day one of them joining SHSC. Now, I'm sure most people on this session will agree that this is a big issue for SHSC, either from your own experiences as new starters or as recruiting managers. I started almost exactly a year ago and I've recruited to my team in that time as well. So I can safely say from both sides of the coin that there were things that were frustrating and time consuming to sort out. Namely, the number one was not being able to log onto my computer on the first day of employment. Having to complete the lovely 3-in-1 form, which hopefully everyone's familiar with, first day, and then go and breathe down the necks of the poor IT help desk team until they set me up an account. I could actually start doing some work. So with that in mind, what have we been working on? I think it's safe to say that when we started looking at all of the components of the Day One Ready process, we saw a big quick win, and that was around this issue of systems access. So we've been working on removing the current 3-in-1 form, together with the application for Insight Training and Systems Access form, which I think is should get the award for longest form title in the Trust. I would challenge you to find one longer. And I'm really happy to say that we have achieved this. This is a royal we. IMST colleagues, and particularly Keely, who is on this session, who you'll hear from soon, have been the brains behind this operation. So we've created a new electronic IT access form for new starters that will provide managers with username and password information ready for day one of employment before the employee starts, refine the process of getting access to things such as shared drives, inboxes and systems, which completely streamlines the process that recruiting managers have to go through. I know at the moment you probably have to do several different e-forms, paper forms, just to get everything that new employee needs. And it will improve the communication channels between systems access providers, as regular updates will be given to recruiting managers as part of this process. So hopefully this all sounds like music to everyone's ears. It certainly does to me, thinking about recruiting going forward. The proposed new process, and we'll ask for feedback on this towards the end of this session. Firstly, confirmation that pre-employment is complete is sent to the recruiting manager from the recruitment officer. You'll then be asked to agree a start date with a new starter, as you do now. And at that point, the manager can complete the new starter request form on the IMST self-service portal. That then gets sent through to the IT service desk, and they create an IT account and send all the requests for all relevant access and training via that form. A confirmation email is sent to the recruiting manager from IT service desk with new starter username and password details, and then the new starter commences in post with everything that they need. That is the aim and the process that will support that. So the fun bit, I'm going to hand over to Keely, who, like I said, is the brains behind this operation, and she is going to demo the new form, which will be live after this session for anyone to start using. So let me stop sharing my screen, if I can find my mouse. Over to Keely. You're still on mute, Keely.
Apologies. Can everybody see my screen, which should show the intranet? Thank you.
Yes.
Morning, everybody. My name is Keely Parker. I'm the service desk manager, and we've been working with the Microsystems group on the new starter request form. So the reason I've started with the intranet is we all know how to get access to that. So I just thought I'd show you how you can get access to the portal if you're not familiar with it, and where you can get further information to start off with. So we have IT have our own tile here, the ICT department, and under there we have a service desk one. So if you click on the service desk tile, you'll find all bits of information about how to contact us, and also further down you'll see a link here to our self-service portal, which also will give you access to the new starter form. We have requested that comms assist us with putting a guide on the portal, on the intranet, which will be in this download section here shortly, which will be a guide on how to use the new starter request form. That guide is also on the day one ready intranet page as well. So you can also have a look at that after this if you need be. So if you click on this link here, it'll take you to our service desk system. If you click on the green box, it'll ask you to log in. Now this is usually your email address. However, if you've got an older network account, it's the same as you log into Office 365 all those kind of accounts. Mine's just set to the usual, but if you do have any problems logging in, please contact the service desk and we're more than happy to assist you with logging in. Once you've logged in, you will see a dashboard page. And if you're not familiar, I'll just very quickly just run over what's on this page. You've got any announcements, so any planned maintenances or outages in this section. A very quick link where you can log an incident and request with us. You can also have a look at our help and FAQs, which we're expanding all the time. And also, if you start to type in new starter, the guide that I was talking about earlier is also there for you to access. Plus, you can get an overview of all the open requests and incidents that you have with us. So we see an incident as a fault that you've raised with us, and a request is a new starter request, a distribution list, mailbox, those kind of things. I would like type queries. You can also review anything that we've resolved or closed for you in the past. So you can basically keep tabs on what IT are doing for you. Over here on the right hand side, you also have some quick links. So you can, all of the forms that are currently under the e-forms section of the intranet, they will shortly be removed. And these forms will take over from those SharePoint forms. The reason that's not done so far is we're waiting for the new version of SharePoint to come live. But again, if you use the portal and you use it regularly, this is a faster way to get your requests dealt with. And as you can see, halfway down, we have the new starter request, which is the one that we're launching today. So if we click here, it'll launch a new page for us. And this is basically the new starter request form. You'll see here under the manager's details that it'll automatically log your details as the person who's logged in as the manager. Only managers should be completing this form for the new starters, as by selecting submit of this form, you're actually adhering to terms and conditions and saying that you'll abide by trust policies. So in the form, what we'll ask managers to do is scroll further down and we'll ask for the new starters details. We've asked for some of these details because it helps us and access teams to not only create the account, but also know what kind of access that person will need. So I'll just do an example one here. So there's a lot of mandatory fields, so fields that must be completed. And I know this might be annoying for some, but the reason we've done it that way is because then IT and again access teams that we forward information to have all of the information from managers to know how we can set up your account appropriately and get everybody ready for day one. So we need the first name, we need the surname, we need the job title. Excuse my my testing in this, the department, and we'll also need the base site. We also ask for a start date, and the reason we ask for a start date is so that we can make sure that the account is created in a timely manner, and also pass on these details to our access colleagues who will set up accounts further on. We'll talk about that. If you know an end date, please add that there. And then the organisation that the person works for. We also have the other option if need be, and just to provide the details in this section here under host organisation. We also ask for the employment type. So I'm going to select other just for this test. And if I try to submit this request with other, it will prompt you to add the type if known. So I'm just going to put test in there for this example. Further down on the form, this is where we start to want to know, what does a new starter need access to? So here we're asking for all of the access that they will need. Unfortunately, we weren't able to put JAC on this request at this time. We will, as a future development, be working with the e-prescribing team. But for now, we've just added a little link at the top here that will, when you click on this, it'll open up the intranet page and point you to the JAC form as an extra step. If that's not needed, you can move on to the next section, and you can toggle yes to whatever access the new starter will require. If they need other access that isn't on here, that you think IT can assist with, just add the details in here. So this could be things such as TPP, read-only insight, for example. So you just add the details there. The reason we've got all these toggles further down is that if you select yes to this Insight admin access, the Insight team have a form on the intranet to ask for what access specifically and training does the new starter need in order for us to provide the right level of admin access. So if you select yes to this toggle, you'll be prompted to fill this section in below. So we could want our new starter to have edit view for activity and events. We might want them to have view for case record, and you can select the appropriate access that you think is appropriate for their job role. Further down on this section, you can also say that there's training required. By default, if it's Insight training, these sections will provide details that will be access and training. Whereas if it's any other training that's required, you can select yes to this option. And you could put TPP training or read-only Insight training in this box and just provide some further details. I'll go on later to say why selecting the right options is important, because all this information is sent to the appropriate teams in order to get the account ready for you and start the training process and booking new starters in for training. Over here, on the right-hand side, we've got network, email and telephony access. So this is for the service desk to assess what do we need to give the new starter so that we can get them ready. So do they need VPN access? Do they need email distribution group access? Shared mailbox, folders and telephony. If you select yes to any of these options, you will be prompted to provide further details. So again, we can make sure that the new starter has the appropriate information and access that they need. So for example, I've selected yes to distribution groups, and I'll just put details of the distribution group there. So I could put, for my team, for example, I'd put the IT support distribution group, and then the access would be created as you've detailed on this form. Again, if you've got any telephony needs, voicemail access and response groups that anybody needs access to, you'd select yes to these options. And again, we'd ask you to provide details here. This is just to avoid your request process not to be delayed. And the final section of the form, we've got equipment required. Again, to try and get people thinking about what equipment we need and what potentially could need to be ordered. There's a link here which links to the intranet page. And again, this provides details of the ordering process and details of what equipment can be ordered. So you can have a look at that as a guide on the form. But we ask that if you put is equipment required. So you have the option to add that there's non-required, it's already been provisioned for a computer or a laptop, or if a new device is required. Excuse me. You can also put other equipment. So it might be that a computer's been provisioned, but you might need headsets, for example, are quite popular while with COVID working. So you could just put the details of headsets and already provisioned. If it is already provisioned, for example, we do ask that, I can't spell there, can I? Provisioned. We do ask for the serial number or the service tag of the equipment provisioned. The reason being is that as a service desk and an IT team, we are looking at updating our records relating to who's got what hardware. There's financial implications for this, and also helps with tracking and asset management. So that's a piece of work that we are undertaking shortly. So we're requesting help with that. The other reason is that if we know what equipment people have, it helps us with remote support, especially during this time when that's increasing. People are needing that increase in support. So if you put the serial tag number in there, that's really helpful. And you will be prompted. If it says already provisioned, you will be prompted. Let me just show you an example of that. If you try to submit and all the details aren't entered, it won't allow you to submit the form. But there are these little boxes that prompt you to say, please, can you add this information? So it's asked me to put in that information there. Once you've submitted this form, that sends it to the service desk for us to action. We open your request, which you can see on the dashboard, and we action set up the account as stated on this form for you, and NHS mail and anything else. When this record's closed, you will receive an email via the service desk system, which will prompt, which will provide to managers. I've got this example here. Can you see that? See that email? This is just an example. You've obviously a lot of you will have received emails through the service desk system that are automated at the minute. So this is just another one to say that your new starter request has been completed. Excuse the test, but it'll show you their username, which is usually set up as the first name dot surname, and you'll also be provided with a 15-character randomly generated password. What we ask the managers to do is to provide this to the new starter on day one, where they'll be prompted to fill in their self-service password management questions. This is for security, so that the service desk can validate you, and not only that, the new starter can also reset their own password should they need to remotely without the service desk getting involved. You can change it themselves. We do provide a guide, a link to the guide on how to manage that for managers and new starters. And we also ask for your feedback on these. I'd encourage everybody to go and have a look at our survey and feedback any complaints, issues, nice feedback, whatever it may be. We're all happy to hear that, and we encourage that in our service desk. So managers will receive this, which then means that on day one we can get the new starter logged in. Just finally, the reason I was saying about how it's important to make sure you add all the access here is that when you receive that email from the service desk saying that the new starter account's created, our system automatically contacts all the appropriate teams and says, we've had a new starter request, please can you set up an account? So for example, I've clicked yes to a smart card here. That would email the appropriate team to notify that the manager's requested a smart card for the new starter, and that team will receive all the information they need to process that account and may get in contact with the managers separately. Likewise, for the Insight team here, they'll be in touch, set up the account and contact the manager about training based on the options that you've selected here on the edit and view. And again at the bottom, likewise for the training team, if you've selected yes here, it'll forward a request to the training team saying, please can we arrange, in this case, TPP training for the new starter. And that is pretty much the new starter form, which you can all monitor via the dashboard, see where we're up to. You'll also see when a request has been closed, for example, I'll just open one of my test ones, just to give you an example. If you scroll down to the bottom of the form, you can see a section here called History. And this shows every action and who's done it and what they've done in the record. So you can actually see the progress of your account. What I wanted just to show you, for example, is when it's been resolved, you'll see a note here saying that a notification has been sent to the Insight team for processing. So you can see that the system sent that email and that they know that you've requested that. And if there's any issues or you need to come back to us, what we do ask is that if you keep a note of your reference number, which is always on the top of the screen or via the emails, when you contact the service desk, we can very quickly have a look at what's been going on and hopefully help resolve should there be any issues or any concerns that you may have. That's the new starter form. I suppose if anybody's got any queries about that, you're more than welcome to put them in the chat. Email the service desk, email myself. We're more than happy to answer any queries if you want it. Yeah, please let us know what you think.
Thanks, Keely. I am going to try and put the slides back on. We'll see how this goes. And then hand over to Georgina. I've just popped in the chat just a reminder that we're going to use I'll do it that way. We're going to use Slido and there'll be a couple of polls in a second that Georgina will go through. Can someone let me know when you can see my screen? And I can't see you at the moment because PowerPoint has taken over.
Yeah, I can see PowerPoint.
Oh, fab. Right. So over to Georgina.
Hi everyone, I'm Georgina Hanson. I'm the recruitment team leader and obviously one of the members of the microsystem. So you should find on Slido, login details are on the screen still there. It's just slido.com and that's 70673 access code. So we've just got a few quick questions to ask just to get some feedback from you on the form that Keely's just demonstrated. So first one is, how likely do you think this new starter request form will improve the process, will improve the experience of new starters on day one? And it's just a starred 0 to 5. If you can just let me know, I'll keep an eye on how many people have voted versus who's in the chat, and then we've got a couple more to come up as well. Okay, and that's about everyone that's had the opportunity to vote for that one. So we've also got another, just a very quick question, just a yes or no answer for this one is, do you think that the proposed process and form is easy to follow and is achievable, so that the aims are achievable of what we're hoping, with the outcome being everyone having that IT access on day one of them starting with the trust? There is through Slido also the option for you to send through any questions. So if we will try and answer as many questions either through the chat on Microsoft Teams or through here. And obviously we welcome any comments and feedback as well. So either way, and we'll try, if we have time, to go through the questions, but we are planning on providing a bit of a FAQ document that we'll put on our Day One Ready section of the intranet based on all of the feedback. Okay. So next steps for us, so like Amy and Keely said, we've launched that form as part of QI week this week, so that will is available after this session. You can, if you've got any new starters pending, then please do go and use that form and let us know how you get on. As the 3-in-1 form will cease to exist on the 30th of November, so hopefully that's a positive thing and everyone agrees this is a much better way of following this process, and obviously it's all electronic, so we're finally in the 21st century. And again, just another reminder that future developments to come, we will be working closely with the team in pharmacy to hopefully follow a similar process that's been adopted with the Insight team, but it was just we need to make sure that they're happy with the process and it's followed through closely with them. So there will be future developments. Any feedback that we do get as well, we will factor in. So we will ensure that we do a bit of a review and ask for some feedback from recruiting managers who have recruited in the next, either have recruited so far or will be recruited in the next couple of months. So look out, if that's you, look out for some comms on that coming in the future. So there's one question that we've got, and we want to know what we should work on next. We're always wanting to improve all of our processes. As Amy said at the start, this is a collaborative microsystem, and we're hoping as a full team to improve that experience of people entering the trust. So let us know what you think we should work on, and we will base the feedback that we get from this session on tailoring that to what we'll work on moving forward. So we'd welcome any feedback, any comments on what you think needs to improve. So we do have a day one ready inbox, and we will be monitoring any feedback through there, any issues that you've got, particularly with that form that you may experience. Obviously go directly to the service desk, but please do feed that back to us as well, and we can obviously look at incorporating anything through those future developments that we were referring to. So please do let us know what you think. I'll keep, just so you know as well, if you're not certain on, or you can't think of something right now, I'm keeping the Slido options open, so they'll be available just after this session. So if you want to have a think about it, then we'll still be gathering that feedback for the rest of the day.
Fab, thank you. Ben, you've got your hand up. You're also on mute.
Am I not on mute now?
No, you're not. I can hear you now.
Yeah, so I was just about to say, it's been really interesting to watch the progress on this. I think, it's been some great progress. I know I was there at the beginning, but there's been lots of kind of unexpected work demands, which have kind of limited me being involved with this. But yeah, it's been great to see everybody working together. Lots of the kind of problematic topics have been picked apart, and we've finally seen an end point. And I know when we first started and we're all looking at that 3-in-1 form with kind of horror to say, look, how are we still using this and why are we using this? So yeah, it's just a massive well done. I think there's lots of hard work and effort gone into this, and everybody's happy that we're going to, we're now going to see some major service improvements on the back of it. So just a big well done and round of applause. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Just to kind of extend the thanks to, there's other members of the microsystem team on this call as well. So Richard Taylor, Jenny Wilson and Lexi Bailey are also on here and are part of that team. So I wanted to make sure that they were recognised for their contribution to this as well. So I don't know, is it worth us, Georgina, going through just some of the feedback we've had on Slido? Because I've seen that we've had go through what the results say, because we've got a bit of time, haven't we? And And then I don't know if we've got enough time, I'm happy to open it up to people voicing their opinions in this session, really, because I think we do have enough time to do that. And I know there's been quite a bit of chat in the chat box, but yeah, initial reactions would be great. Do you want me to or do you want to do it, Georgina?
So the poll that we did initially, the voting, I think it was 0 to 5. We had 6 responses, and we had 50% of those, so 3 of them voted for 4 out of 5, and 50% voted for 5 out of 5. So obviously on average 4.5 out of 5, which is very positive. For the yes/no question about do you think that the proposed process and form is easy to follow and achievable, and we had 7 responses with a full 100% saying yes, which is brilliant. And the final question about what we should work on next is provide a template for what a good day one / induction looks like, which I like the sound of. That sounds really great. Creating a staff handbook and induction booklet for new staff and managers to follow. Staff induction is only as good as the manager giving the induction. Similar themes there, I think. So it's kind of a bit of a guide, I think, is what people seem to be wanting, which I think is definitely something we need to put on our list. And then one of the questions was that will this process include students? And I assume the answer is yes. But Keely, you may be in a better position to respond to that question.
Everybody, all students. I understand the problem with that is that it'd be 1 form per student, which I can appreciate is not ideal. However, it does help us with the access levels that each student would independently need, and also acts as an audit record as well. So there are benefits to filling them out independently, but yes, everybody and anybody who comes to work for the trust, all via this process, please.
Brilliant. So does anyone else have any comments or feedback, initial reactions to the form that they would be willing to share with us, or anything further they want to add about Day One Ready in general? Jo?
Am I allowed to speak?
Yeah, of course.
I think, obviously I've been, if I say I've been involved, yes, as the coach of the MAG system, but certainly not in terms of the outcome of any of this stuff. That's obviously all down to the team. But so speaking not as a MAG system coach for the team, but as a recruiting manager, I think this has massive potential for being so much better. Just the thing that out of everything, I think, is that somebody having the password that they can use straight away, because the one thing I remember, and I know with other team members, is the first thing you have to do, I thought, God, this is brilliant. You connected with your phone to your laptop. This is amazing. First thing I had to do was phone IT to get my password to get onto my laptop, and I couldn't get on it. So you can't just pick up a phone. So I think all of that kind of stuff will be brilliant. I suppose one of the things to think about is how we then share this more widely. Obviously we had lots of people registered to come today, and unfortunately this seems to have been a bit of a pattern throughout the week, which we can evaluate as a QI team, but I guess there is something then, isn't there, about how people get to know about it, because that demonstration from Keely was brilliant, and obviously we are recording this, so I guess it might even be, if you've got some thoughts about where you'd like us to specifically target this recording maybe, or something. Yeah, Keely's got a hand up, so maybe she's going to respond and has got something in place.
You can clip the videos as well, I discovered, with the team, so we could actually potentially clip that. I was thinking while she was doing it, actually clip that demo and have that as something we can share as a training tool.
Yeah.
But Keely, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Oh, good job. I've done a good job then if you're going to clip it. But no, I was going to say regarding comms, the service desk, I'm just waiting for the communications team to upload the guide onto the intranet and make a couple of changes. I've also requested that they put it on the banner on the intranet. I know Richard kindly put something on Facebook yesterday, so encourage you all to like that and share that. We will also, the service desk, potentially might be Monday now, but be sharing this out via the service desk, and we will also be sending a reminder. We've diarised for late November, just as a reminder to say bye-bye 3-in-1 form, just as a reminder to staff to say we won't. And obviously the service desk team, I'm sure, will be saying to people, we'll accept it on this occasion, but you do know there's another form, so there'll be communications that way as well. So we are doing that at present, and we might need to have another look at that as part of a group when we meet, but the communications are in progress. This was a kick-off for today.
Yeah. Brilliant. Anyone else want to give feedback, expand on things that you think we should focus on more going forward? Anything really? Any questions for us?
Oops.
Go on, Jo.
Bless you, Richard. Even though it
That
was
was going to be
silent,
it. You put your hand up.
just to say bless you. Yeah.
Very polite.
I think what would be really interesting actually is to see what comes out next as to for the team to work on, because again, obviously I've kind of been on the inside, as you might say, but I think this has been something that's been really quite focused, and it's brilliant to see something go right through, come out and be launched in QI week is just fantastic. So I think it is in terms of what's the next thing, because that's a big thing, but actually, and there's some people on the call who have probably started with the trust more recently, and I've not been here that long, in terms of what will be really helpful on day one, that perhaps some of us have been here a bit longer kind of don't think about. So I guess it's, yeah, I mean, things I'm thinking of linked to the things that people have said around like induction. You know, sometimes it might be sort of 4 months on or something, and I know that's all changing, and I know Jenny's on the call, and I know things are changing there. But yeah, I guess it's just thinking of things. It'd be really helpful to get that feedback, wouldn't it, about things that maybe we don't think about as people who've been here for a long time, but actually the new starters. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no matter how small as well, it might seem like something that is quite inconsequential, but actually, why shouldn't we look at that? Now, I know Jenny's been doing quite a bit of work on induction, and not to put her on the spot. If she wants to elaborate, she can, but I know it's something that we've touched on, isn't it? A little bit. Yeah. That might be a good area for us to focus on next.
Apologies, my laptop connection keeps dying, and I'm at Fulwood, so I've had to transfer to my phone. So it looks a bit weird because I keep trying to like tilt it. So I've actually met with Jan, the chief exec, about her vision for induction, because she actually came on one of the very last face-to-face ones we ran in March. My God, that's so long ago. And because we've moved so much of the mandatory training online, for those of you that remember, when I actually started 10 years ago, my first brief was to review induction, and I put on a trust welcome, and we actually talked about the trust and service users and recovery, and it wasn't about mandatory training. And then obviously over the years, the focus has had to go back on mandatory training, and we've lost that. But now most of the training's moved online, we can get it back. So we were hoping to run some sort of face-to-face ones, but that's not going to happen anytime soon with tier 3 and everything else. So we're looking at launching something with the chief exec, and we're working with Listening into Action. And the lovely Ailish is on this call, is going to set up a session for us all to kind of go through that microsystem style, to think about how we do that. So trust values, inclusivity, back to good, the structure, staff benefits, behaviours, all of that. And then we'll do your mandatory training separately, which I'm really, really excited about. Just need to get our heads round the next couple of weeks. I'm going to pitch it. I do it at every meeting. Anybody needs to do their mandatory training because it expires before the end of next week, or your teams do. Please do it. And then hopefully when we've got some headspace in November, it's All steam ahead from that, and it's going to be called Welcome to Team SHSC.
Brilliant. That sounds amazing, Jenny. So much better. Liz, you've got your hand up.
Hi, I've turned the washer off so you can hear me too. So my point isn't just around the mandatory induction, it's around inductions to each individual team, and line managers and the team members taking responsibility for induction as well. So it's not all on you, Jenny.
She's waving.
No, it is. I'm currently reviewing the induction policy and a total rewrite of the local induction. So if you don't mind, Liz, I've circulated it to my lovely onboarding teammates, but can I send you the local induction checklist to have a look as well?
Of course you can.
Well volunteered, thank you.
Brilliant. I think that's it. So if we're saying induction is focused, Jenny, it sounds like you've got that under wraps as well. It sounds really positive. Is there absolutely anything else that anyone thinks that we can, I don't want us to just go, oh, what do we do next after that? What else, what really, really annoys people as a recruiting manager or as when you started? I think, like I said at the beginning, for me, it was the IT access. I remember when Richard started in my team, he didn't have any equipment at all. We didn't have a computer. And to be honest, I hadn't even thought about it, which is terrible as a manager, isn't it? But yeah, what else? Ben?
Hopefully you can hear me now. I know how
Yes.
to unmute myself. So something that we're looking at, I can't confirm when, but we're definitely looking at it now, is what type of IT devices people get and when they get them. Because sometimes what's a challenge is when people start, getting their equipment's almost an afterthought. So what we're trying to do is to make sure that we've got a one device, one person policy where we can, so that we can buy devices in kind of block bulk, and then they should be ready for when people start. Or if they're not ready for when people start, it's obviously as soon as possible afterwards, because what we found through COVID and other things is that obviously the trust is working differently now. So we need to be able to give people the right tools and technology to be able to do their jobs. But we've got a bit of work to kind of tidy up our estate first before we go full steam ahead with that. But I know recently through the Silver Command, there's been a big request to purchase additional equipment. So I think, my vision of what good looks like is you get access to all the IT systems, and you've got your network passwords and everything, but also the equipment side of things is also taken care of. It's easier said than done. I think it will be a challenge, but I think that again will speed things up.
Yeah, definitely. And that sounds really positive as well. Liz, have you still got your hand up, or have you got another question? Sorry, not to put you on the spot. Ben, you've still got yours up, just to
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, fab. I just thought actually something from my team's perspective, and possibly Georgina's in recruitment, but has anyone got any thoughts on or have any experiences in terms of staff getting paid their first payday, that kind of thing? Just thinking of some of the other things that we could focus on, because that might not be obvious, I suppose, to people. But is there anything that, and this is something that you can take away and have a think about, and please feel free to use the Day One Ready inbox to send us your thoughts and ideas. But does anyone have any experiences with pay, good or bad, or things that they think could improve, really? I know sometimes we don't always get it right with getting staff on in time because of cut-offs for payroll, and it's not always our fault, I will say, or the team. It can be difficult with payroll cut-offs, but is there something that we could do to look at that and improve some of those processes? It's just a bit of an open question, I suppose.
I think what I was going to say, one thing that I think I would, and the whole point was that we wanted to make sure that our next step was focused on feedback. But I think there's a lot we could probably do with the teams that are involved in our microsystem in terms of our communication with each other. So we all, when a new starter is recruited, obviously that goes through my team in recruitment, but then there's workforce information become involved because of various forms that are filled in if they move internally, for example. And then Jenny's team, when we need to be communicating with them about training, and then obviously IT, which we've aimed to resolve around the communication there. So I think there's, what I've reflected on is a lot of communication potential barriers at the moment between us and our teams, but also us and managers as well, and us all being connected in some way. So I think that's what we found, is that if those communication channels break down or aren't as successful as we'd want them to be, particularly with us and the recruiting managers and that line of communication too, then that's when sometimes these things can get missed. So I think that's one thing that I would like to focus on in particular. But like I say, the whole point was that it should be something that we all would benefit from.
Jenny?
Yeah, it was very similar to Georgina. Due to COVID, people aren't coming on face-to-face induction, so we really need to get them to be able to access ESR as quickly. So that getting them changed from an applicant to an employee and getting emails in and everything else. We had a huge issue a couple of weeks ago. We had a new cohort of trainee clinical psychologists, 22 of them started. They had time set aside to do their induction and they couldn't get on. So, and it's about linking all of those things together, and also, which Georgina knows is one of my big, knowing what's coming through the system so that I can plan things like respect training and everything else, so that teams can have the correct training to make that member of staff safe in a ward or clinical area as quickly as possible. And then the internal moves, we need to sort that ESR2 PC and successful candidate thing so that it's all sorted. People sit on the wrong training reports for weeks, they have the wrong training things, and also then we need to close some loops. So if they move, their shared drives in the old places get shut down. They don't have the right, they don't need that access anymore. So it's almost like a day one ready for internal new starters as well, and what else they need. And then we need to focus on the people leaving, because that also people valid. We don't know what's getting lost in emails because people have left and they're not forwarded. So huge list. We'll fix the world.
Yeah, it might take us a while, but no, definitely. I think that's really valid point about internal movers. If anyone knows me, they'll know I'm on an absolute mission, along with Ben, to get rid of all of the e-forms, including the delightful ESR2A, ESR2C. We are got rid of the PDR form. If people aren't aware, that has been switched off because we had so many problems with that this year in my team. And yeah, we will be getting. I'm on a mission, basically, to improve those forms, and yeah, and it all links into this. Yeah, I think, have we only got 5 minutes left?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other comments or any contributions that anyone wants to make? So Keely's just said linking ESR with IT systems and processes to assist leavers movers. Yeah, 100% agree. I think we do that in some. I think there's some pockets of IMST that do get some of our information, but not everyone. So we need to look at that and make sure that data is accessible. I think there's probably, it's fair to say, a bit of an issue with data quality between all of our systems. You know, like Jenny said, people move, they might not allow, make IT aware, so actually someone's contact details and everything look incorrect on all the address book and Skype and all of that. Just little things, but I think some of those little things do make a massive difference.
Yeah.
I'd also like to, I'll I'll just finish off. My last point would be that I'd like to get some better communication out about how pay works as well. I think sometimes some of the issues that people have around their pay and that when they first start is not knowing actually the processes that sit behind it. Things like you're not going to get your enhancements for your first month and your first month's pay. You're going to get it in the second month because that's it works in arrears. Little things like that. So it's something that I've discussed with my team before. How to read your payslip. I mean, what does everything mean? Those little things that actually would make such a difference to people joining our organisation, make them more confident going forward, and that are meaningful to them, I suppose. So Ben, you've got your hand up, or you did?
Well, as I've put it down, I think, yeah, you've discussed everything I'm going to say. I was just about to say that there's a project that comms are leading on. They're wanting to make a extranet. It's going through the channels now, so that's a good opportunity to link in with. And then, yeah, I totally agree with the data type, questions of, we will know when somebody's going to leave because the termination form's complete. We know from that time. So what can we do proactively up front to try and reduce this? Because I'm just thinking, when we've got open accounts, it's a massive security issue, and it's about, I know people get scared of data automation, but there's definitely a potential to start small and think, right, well, we know this person's going to leave because that data tells us so. Can we do anything special quicker than waiting for something to come back round the loop? So we'll get there, just not today or in one day.
Yeah. But we will get there, and that's the most important thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to close this session down then. I think thank you everyone who has come and joined us and given your opinions and feedback. It's going to be so invaluable to us going forward. Again, please feel free to contact us. Like I say, the Day One Ready inbox is available. It's on the address book. Hopefully you picked up our names as well. If you do want to contact individuals, I can't see an issue with that either. And if we'd really welcome you to get involved as much as possible, because at the end of the day, this is for everyone in the trust, to improve everyone's experiences as staff, as recruiting managers, etc. So yeah, thank you, and please tell everyone about the IT form. I've posted it on Twitter, so if anyone wants to retweet, feel free. Please do, and let us know how you get on with it, I think is the main thing. And massive thank you to Keely, because I know how much work you've put into this, and we really appreciate it, because I think it's going to make such a massive difference. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everyone.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you. Bye.